Welcome to our mini devotional series called Lessons Learned in Captivity. You know, during this time of quarantine or captivity, however you want to talk about it, there are some lessons that we can learn from Bible characters who've also endured this. So let's talk about this first Bible character. This guy was trapped for 1 year on basically a floating zoo. Noah understood what we're going through. He understood being quarantined or being held in captivity. So let's look at some lessons that we can learn from Noah's time and maybe apply them to our time. So the first lesson we can learn is don't miss the boat. You can look around our world today. You can look in our country and see what's happening. You need to be on board with what's happening. It's the truth that if we all come together and work in cooperation, good things can happen. So get on board with what's happening. The number 2 lesson we can learn is we're all in the same boat. Can you imagine Noah if they didn't get along, trapped in that boat all together with nowhere to go? Well, we're all in the same boat. And hopefully throughout America and throughout the world, people are being obedient and they're getting on board and they're actually in the boat together, working together. Number 3, plan ahead. You know, it wasn't raining when Noah started building the boat. That's very important. When we look back in the days leading up to this, what could we have done to be more prepared? What can we do to be more prepared? We should always be looking forward. I always say it's better to be proactive than reactive. So what can you do? How can you plan for the next event that may take place in your life? Remember, it may not be raining today, but you need to plan for as if it may start tomorrow. Number 4, and this one makes me laugh, stay in shape. Who knows, God may ask you to do something really big when you're 600 years old. I pray not. I don't want to have to wait that long, but who knows? God had asked Noah to do something pretty big in his life when he was 600 years old. And if he hadn't been physically fit or ready for that, who knows what would have happened? So stay in shape. Who knows what God will ask you and at what time in your life? Number 5 lesson, tune out the critics. What I've learned is that you need to be opening your ears and listening to your Creator. The Creator who designed you, the Creator who purposed you. He knows the plan for your life. He knows the directions He wants to lead you. So you're going to learn throughout life, the number one thing you can do is tune out the critics and tune in the Creator. So my challenge to you is, like Noah, he tuned out those that were telling him what he was doing was foolish, and he just listened to the instructions of his Creator. And through that, he saved his family from the destruction that came upon the world. The number 6 lesson, build on high ground or solid ground. You know, Noah, when he got off that boat, I'm sure he didn't go find a valley to build his home in. He built on the highest place possible. I want to challenge you. Build your life on solid things. If your life was built on solid things before this began, you're probably making it okay. But it's very important going forward that you always make sure that you're building on firm foundations and solid ground. The number 7 we learn from this is always travel in pairs. I'm going to challenge you, connect to a church. Connect to mentorships in your life. You know, the Bible tells us that it's better if 2 of you are traveling together. That way, if one falls into a ditch, the other can lift him out. If one falls down, there's somebody to lift him up. I will tell you, it's better not to be alone. Connect to a church, connect to a pastor, connect to a leadership team, connect to mentorship, because you're going to need them at some point. We're seeing people right now that just that level of care and concern matters and makes a difference. So learn the lesson from Noah. Travel in pairs. It makes life better. Number 8 lesson we learn in this story of Noah being in quarantine is that speed doesn't matter. Only endurance matters. Do you know what? The snails made it on the ark as much as the cheetahs. Those snails that were just inching their way up that gangplank getting onto that ark made it in the boat, as well as the cheetahs, who were the fastest animals that you can see making it onto the ark. You know, the Bible teaches us that endurance is what matters, not acceleration. It doesn't matter if you get there fast. It matters if you get there. So take your time and realize that speed doesn't matter in this salvation thing and getting through this quarantine thing. Endurance is what matters. The number 9 lesson we learn in this is pretty amazing. Sometimes when life gets stressful, you need to float along. Boy, that was true of Noah. Life was getting stressful. The Lord was getting irritated with the land. He knew what was coming. And all Noah could do for that 1 year of quarantine was just float. Some of you are in quarantine right now and you don't know what you can do, and you have to let go of that stress. You can't go to work. You can't get a lot done. Sometimes God will take you through moments, and he taught us in the Bible that rest was just as important as work. And so even God, he worked really hard to make all the earth, but the Bible says on the seventh day he rested. So maybe he's just got us in a seventh day rest period and we're just floating along, but it's okay. He purposed that time for us as well. The number 10 lesson, you don't have to be a professional to get this right. You know, it's kind of amazing because the ark was built by an amateur and it floated for 1 year. The Titanic was built by professionals and it didn't even make it its first trip. So I'm going to encourage you, quit worrying about doing everything professionally and perfect and just do it according to the plan that God has placed in your life. When you do that, you will make it. And the number 11 lesson is the most beautiful. At the end of every storm, there is a rainbow. God designed that as a promise to Noah that he would never have to go through that again. And I believe when we get to the end of this time of being in captivity or quarantine, we're going to see the promises of God. We already see many wonderful things happening even during this time. But I want to encourage you that there is a rainbow in all of this. The Bible tells us that all things work together for good. So I'm believing that even through this time, all things are going to work for good. I pray that you've enjoyed these lessons learned in captivity from our first Bible character, Noah. If anybody can tell us anything about being quarantined, it's the story of Noah. I'm glad that the Lord has just quarantined me with my family and not with a floating zoo of animals. But you know what? I'm going to learn the lessons that Noah showed me, and I'm going to take them forward. So I'm glad you are with me, and I look forward to our next time together in this series, Lessons Learned in Captivity.